Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. In Islamic discourse, there's a necessity of developing and understanding how it is that fiqh represents in many ways an explication of the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If understood, if the Sunnah is understood as the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad. The term Sunnah carries a number of different definitions that pertain to the way the ulama approach the concept of Sunnah. So, for instance, the ulama of Usul al-Fiqh will approach the concept of Sunnah from the perspective of the Sunnah as a source of Islam. The ulama of Fiqh approach the concept of Sunnah from the perspective of what? Of it representing an action which is not an obligation. So the term Sunnah here is more of a label for an action that's not an obligation but something that's recommended. So they're not necessarily talking about the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad as a whole, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they're talking about something which is recommended as an action, as something that should be done for reward, right? Encouraged to be done. The ulama of Aqidah, they deal with the term Sunnah from the perspective of a body of beliefs which represent what is held dear as far as creed is concerned by those who predominantly lean toward hadith. So Sunnah then is the creed of the people of hadith. The ulama of hadith themselves look at the term Sunnah as not only being a source of Islam, but also that which the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam embodied as far as character is concerned, and how he appeared. So they look at Sunnah from the perspective of the acts of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he did, what he said, right, his sayings, what he consented to, how he looked, and his character. So by far they have one of the most comprehensive understandings of the term Sunnah, the ulama of hadith. But when we look at the ulama of fiqh, we find that the ulama of fiqh have done or have undertaken a research into the Sunnah which is extremely profound, in that they take the sources of Islam, Quran and Sunnah, and then they investigate these sources in such a way which they are able to derive rulings that pertain to the whole of life. So this is the secret, so to speak. This is the point of wisdom. That if we look at a model of fiqh as laid out by Sheikh Mustafa Zarqa, rahmatullahi alayhi, he says that fiqh is divided into 7 different areas or spheres. That which we term as ibadat, that which we talk about as being what al-ahwal al-shakhsiyah, and then that which we term to be mu'amalat, right? And so he looks at it from the perspective of what contemporary legal terminology, that which is pertaining to political leadership or siyasa shar'iyya, that which pertains to criminal law, right? Al-jinayat and hudud, that which pertains to international law in term of siyar, and adab and character. Adab, basically character and virtue. So ibadat is restricted to those acts which are known to be the arkan of Islam, the pillars of Islam. Right? And then the ahwal al-shakhsiyya is pertaining to family law, marriage, divorce, maintenance rules, inheritance, transference of property, and so on and so forth. And then you have mu'amalat, which he focuses or restricts to economic transactions, right? Contracts, rights, arbitration, times of conflict between two parties that are engaging in a business transaction. Then there's principles governing political leadership, the rules of good politics, and so on and so forth. Siyasa Shari'iyah, law of administration, principles, constitutional principles, etc. And, you know, when we look at this categorization and we look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we find that the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is an embodiment of all these realities. So in that sense, fiqh is an explication of the Sunnah, right? And this is something that we have to reflect upon. Many times we find that some people look at fiqh, especially madhabi fiqh, as being against the Sunnah. But here we find that fiqh is an explication of the Sunnah. وصلى الله عليه وسلم.